Black people are leaving certain states fast, and it's not just a small trickle, it's an exodus. The numbers don't lie, and if you've been paying attention, you've probably noticed the shift. This isn't just about jobs, it's about affordability, culture, safety, and in some cases, straight-up survival. Welcome to the new Great Migration, where Black professionals, families, and entire communities are packing up and moving to places that actually make sense. If you think this is just a coincidence, think again. There's a reason some states are seeing a mass exodus of Black professionals, while others are thriving. Some call it economic freedom. Some say it's about social justice. Others, they just want to buy a house without selling a kidney. But which states are seeing the biggest decline? And more importantly, where are people going? Stick around as we break down the top 10 states Black people are leaving. Some of them will absolutely shock you. Before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian, and ring the notification bell for more deep dives into demographic shifts, urban to rural migration, and Black excellence. Drop a comment on why you think this is happening. Let's get into it. Number 10. Massachusetts. If you've ever dreamed of paying $500,000 for a shoebox-sized apartment and still having to parallel park on a street that feels like a Mario Kart level, Massachusetts might just be your dream state. But for a lot of Black folks, it's a hard pass. Let's talk about Boston, the heart of Massachusetts, and a city that somehow manages to be both historically significant and aggressively unaffordable. The median home price in Boston, a cool $800,000. Yes, you heard that right. Rent? Expect to cough up at least $3,000 a month for a decent apartment. And that's before utilities, groceries, and the therapy you'll need after looking at your bank account. Black professionals, young families, and anyone with a dream of owning instead of renting indefinitely are packing their bags for places where a down payment isn't the same as selling a kidney. And let's be real, Massachusetts isn't exactly known for its thriving Black cultural scene. It's got history, sure, but if you're looking for the kind of Black excellence and community you'd find in Atlanta, Houston, or even Charlotte, you might be disappointed. Boston's Black population sits around 24%, but somehow, it still feels like we're the guests at the cookout, not the hosts. Ever been to a diverse event in Massachusetts? Yeah, sometimes it just means one Black person in a room full of well-meaning folks who suddenly want to talk about Wakanda. So what do you do when the cost of living is sky high and the sense of community feels low? You do what thousands of others have done. You start looking elsewhere. And surprise, surprise, Black folks are leaving Massachusetts faster than you can say, wicked expensive. Are you shocked to see Massachusetts on the list? Or does this just confirm what you already knew? Let me know in the comments. Number 9. Louisiana. If you love amazing food, rich culture, and a side of existential dread every hurricane season, Louisiana might be the place for you. But for thousands of Black residents, it's been real, but it's time to bounce. Let's start with the obvious. Mother Nature has beef with Louisiana. Every couple of years, another massive storm barrels through, leaving entire communities underwater and thousands of Black families displaced. Katrina, Ida, Laura. These hurricanes aren't just names. They're life-altering events that have forced people to start over, sometimes more than once. And while the state rebuilds, many Black residents aren't sticking around for the next round of, let's see what FEMA covers this time. And even when the weather isn't actively trying to evict people, the economy's giving it a solid effort. Louisiana relies heavily on oil and gas, which means when the industry sneezes, the whole state catches pneumonia. Job stability? Questionable. Wages? Not keeping up with the cost of living. And let's not even start on wealth building. Black homeownership rates in Louisiana are among the lowest in the country. How do you build a future when the ground literally keeps shifting beneath your feet? And sure, Louisiana has one of the most vibrant Black cultures in the country. New Orleans alone is a global capital of music, history, and soul food that could make you question all your life choices. But at some point, people start asking, do I really want to keep rebuilding my life every 5 years? So what happens next? Black folks are leaving Louisiana faster than a tourist realizing they've wandered onto Bourbon Street at the wrong hour. Cities like Atlanta, Dallas and Houston are calling, and they're offering something Louisiana can't: economic stability and a break from hurricane-induced stress. So what do you think? Would you stick around or start packing? Number 8. Missouri. Missouri is losing black residents fast. And honestly, can you blame them? Between St. Louis' sky-high crime rates, struggling schools, and an economy that's moving slower than a Monday morning, folks are packing up and heading for greener pastures. Let's start with St. Louis, a city that once had the potential to be the gateway to black prosperity, but somehow ended up being the gateway to packing your bags and leaving. Crime rates? Through the roof. The FBI consistently ranks St. Louis among the most dangerous cities in America, and for black families trying to build a future, that's a major red flag. The cycle of underfunded neighborhoods, economic instability, and let's be honest, a city that sometimes feels like it's allergic to progress. It's no wonder folks are saying, yeah, I think I'll pass. And if crime doesn't make you think twice, let's talk education. Schools in Missouri's black communities are chronically underfunded, leaving parents scrambling for better options. Want a decent public education for your kids? Might have to cross state lines. School districts like St. Louis Public Schools have been fighting an uphill battle for years, and unfortunately, many black families aren't willing to roll the dice on their children's futures. And then there's the economy. Missouri loves to tell you it's growing, but let's be real. Who is it growing for? Job opportunities for black professionals often feel limited, and wages aren't exactly making anyone rich. Meanwhile, cities like Dallas, Atlanta, and Nashville are out here flexing with booming economies, affordable living, and let's be honest, more black excellence per square mile. So the choice becomes pretty simple. Stick around and hope things improve, or move somewhere that actually values your future. And guess what? Black folks are choosing the latter in record numbers. So tell me, is Missouri a sinking ship, or do you think it still has hope? Number 7. New Jersey. New Jersey is hemorrhaging black residents, and it's not hard to see why. The cost of living here is so high, it feels like the state is charging you just to breathe. And don't even get me started on taxes. New Jersey's property taxes aren't just high, they're the highest in the entire country. Congratulations, New Jersey. You're number 1 in making homeowners rethink their life choices. Let's break it down. The average property tax bill here is over $9,000 a year. That's not a mortgage. That's a whole separate rent payment just for existing. And the worst part, the price tag doesn't come with a VIP experience. Roads are still full of potholes, schools are struggling in many black communities, and don't even think about parking in a city without taking out a small loan. But wait, there's more. Housing prices are through the roof. Groceries cost an arm and a leg, and gas prices. Let's just say you might need to start budgeting before you pull up to the pump. And this isn't just a North Jersey problem. Whether you're in Newark, Camden, or Trenton, the struggle is real. So what are people doing? Leaving. And where are they going? States like Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas, where you can actually afford a home without selling your soul to the bank. New Jersey may have proximity to New York, great diners, and a decent beach or two, but when it comes to affordability, black residents are voting with their feet. So tell me, would you tough it out or take the next flight to Atlanta? Number 6. Pennsylvania. Black folks are getting out of Pennsylvania, and honestly, the state isn't making a strong case for them to stay. Once a powerhouse for industry and opportunity, Pennsylvania has slowly turned into a place where dreams go to collect dust like an abandoned steel mill in Pittsburgh. Let's talk jobs. Pennsylvania was built on manufacturing, coal, and steel, and those industries once provided solid middle-class wages, especially for black workers. But what happens when the factories close, and all that's left are low-paying service jobs and a bunch of empty warehouses? The economy didn't just shift, it swerved like a Philly driver dodging potholes. And guess who's getting left behind? And speaking of Philly, it's got history, culture, and some of the best cheese-steaks on the planet. But it also has rising housing costs, struggling schools, and job markets that aren't exactly rolling out the red carpet. The same goes for Pittsburgh, where the tech boom is real, but only for the people already winning at life. The reality? A lot of black professionals and families aren't seeing the same benefits. And while the cities struggle, the suburbs are getting all the action. Black families who want safer neighborhoods, better schools, and houses that don't cost a fortune are looking elsewhere. The problem? Even suburban Pennsylvania comes with high property taxes and a cost of living that keeps climbing like the Rocky Steps. So the big question is, if the jobs are disappearing, the housing prices are going up, and the economy is leaving you behind, why stay? Black Pennsylvanians are asking the same thing, and more, they're choosing the exit ramp. Would you ride it out or start looking for moving boxes? All right, we're halfway through the list, and if any of this is hitting home for you, I need to hear from you. Are you living in one of these states? Are you thinking about leaving? Or did you already pack up and say, I'm out of here? Drop a comment below and tell me your experience. What's driving people away? High costs? Jobs? Or just vibes? Let's talk about it. And while you're here, hit that like button so more people can see what's really going on. All right, let's get back into it. Because trust me, the states coming up next, oh, they've got some stories. Number 5. Ohio. Black folks are leaving Ohio, and let's be honest, it's not exactly a mystery why. The state's economy is moving at the speed of dial-up internet, and for a lot of black professionals, the land of opportunity is starting to feel more like the land of missed calls from employers. Let's talk jobs. Once upon a time, Ohio was an industrial powerhouse, manufacturing automotive steel. But fast forward to today, and the job market is as stagnant as last week's coffee. The state is still trying to find its new identity, but while it figures that out, black workers are realizing their career prospects look a whole lot better elsewhere. And then there's Cleveland. Once a booming city, now it's struggling with urban decay, crumbling infrastructure, and a vibe that feels like a before picture in a renovation show. The same goes for parts of Cincinnati and Dayton, places that should be thriving, but instead feel like they're stuck in an early 2000s time loop. Young black professionals who want a lively, progressive, and opportunity-rich environment? Yeah, they're not sticking around. Even housing, one of Ohio's biggest selling points, isn't enough to keep people. Sure, you can buy a home for way less than in other states, but what good is an affordable house if the job market isn't giving you the salary to maintain it? Plus, some neighborhoods are seeing disinvestment and black communities are feeling the brunt of it. So, let's be real. If the job market is crawling, the cities feel neglected, and the opportunities are drying up, why stay? More and more black Ohioans are asking the same question, and they're answering with a one-way ticket out. Would you stick it out, or is Ohio officially on your nope list? Number 4. Michigan. Michigan is losing black residents fast, and Detroit's comeback story isn't exactly selling tickets. Once the beating heart of black entrepreneurship, music, and industry, the Motor City has been stuck in a never-ending cycle of economic revitalization that never seems to actually revitalize. Let's start with Detroit's economy. At its peak, this city was an economic powerhouse, home to thriving black neighborhoods, booming factories, and enough opportunity to make folks dream big. Fast forward to today, and Detroit has lost over 60% of its population since 1950. Yes, you read that right. More than half the city is gone. Jobs have disappeared, businesses have closed, and entire neighborhoods feel like a history lesson in what happens when an economy fails its people. And then there's education. Black families looking for quality schools? Michigan is making that decision real easy by not offering them. The state consistently ranks near the bottom for school funding and performance, with Detroit public schools at the center of the crisis. Overcrowded classrooms, underpaid teachers, and test scores that would make your grandma clutch her pearls. Parents who want their kids to have a real shot at success are taking matters into their own hands by leaving. But wait, what about affordable housing? Yes, you can still get a house in Detroit for the price of a used car. But here's the catch. Affordable doesn't mean livable. Some neighborhoods are thriving, sure, but others, they've been neglected for so long that even the city seems to have forgotten they exist. So let's call it what it is. Michigan isn't holding on to its black population because it isn't giving them a real reason to stay. Jobs? Struggling. Schools underfunded. Neighborhoods? Hit or miss. So, tell me, would you wait around for a miracle, or would you start packing? Number 3. Illinois. Black folks aren't just leaving Illinois. They're practically running for the exits. And it's not because they suddenly developed an allergy to deep dish pizza. The economy is shaky, the job market isn't giving, and let's be real, some neighborhoods are feeling more like survival zones than communities. Let's talk about jobs. Once upon a time, Illinois, and especially Chicago, was a hub for black middle-class prosperity. Manufacturing, transportation, trade. But fast forward to today, and those steady, good-paying jobs? Gone. The factories shut down, industries moved on, and black workers got left in the dust. If you're not in tech, finance, or healthcare, Illinois is basically telling you, good luck with that. And then there's the elephant in the room, crime. Now let's be clear, not all of Chicago is dangerous, but let's not pretend like crime rates aren't a major factor in why black families are leaving. In some neighborhoods, violence isn't just a headline, it's an everyday reality. And when people start feeling like they have to look over their shoulder just to get to work, school, or the grocery store, that's when the moving trucks start showing up. Even outside of Chicago, Illinois isn't exactly rolling out the red carpet. Rising taxes, struggling public services, and a cost of living that's creeping up like a bad Wi-Fi connection. It's no wonder folks are asking, what exactly am I staying for? So here's the real question. If your job opportunities were shrinking and your community didn't feel as safe as it used to, would you stay or would you go? Number 2, California. California is losing black residents at an alarming rate, and let's be honest, who can afford to stay? The Golden State used to be a land of opportunity, but now it's a land of $2,500 rent for a studio apartment, $7 gas, and a real estate market that laughs in the face of first-time homebuyers. Let's talk about housing. Once upon a time, black families built strong communities in places like Los Angeles, Oakland, and San Francisco. Fast forward to today, and those same neighborhoods? Unrecognizable. Gentrification has moved in, rent prices have skyrocketed, and black residents have been priced out of their own history. Want to buy a house? Good luck finding anything under $800,000 that doesn't need a little work. And even if you somehow make it work, you're still dealing with a cost of living that feels like financial warfare. Groceries? Expensive. Gas? Outrageous. Taxes? Let's not even start. At some point, you have to ask yourself, am I living in California, or is California living off of me? Then there's the job market. Tech is thriving, but unless you're a software engineer or have a trust fund, you're probably just trying to survive. The wage gap for black workers is real, and while California loves to market itself as a progressive utopia, affordable opportunities for black professionals tell a different story. So let's be real. When rent is robbing you blind and your old neighborhood looks more like a hipster brunch spot than the place you grew up, is it really home anymore? More and more black Californians are saying, nope, I'm out. Would you fight to stay, or is California officially too expensive to love? Number 1. New York. New York is hemorrhaging black residents, and let's be honest, it's not hard to see why. You ever try to survive in a city where a slice of pizza costs the same as a whole meal in another state? And don't even get me started on rent. You know it's bad when paying $2,500 a month for a one-bedroom in Brooklyn is considered a steal. Let's talk cost of living. New York used to be the place where black families built generational wealth, thriving communities, and cultural landmarks. Now, it's where you spend half your paycheck just to keep the lights on. The median rent in NYC is over $4,000 a month. Yes, you heard that right. And buying a home? Forget about it. The average price for a house in the city is well over $700,000, and that's if you don't mind sharing a wall with neighbors who somehow always argue at full volume. And let's be real, jobs aren't keeping up. While industries in other states are rolling out opportunities, New York's economy is making folks jump through hoops just to break even. Unless you're in finance, tech, or some super high-paying field, you're probably working twice as hard just to stay afloat. Black professionals are realizing they can get higher salaries, better work-life balance, and an actual shot at homeownership elsewhere. So here's the real question. When the rent is this high, the job market isn't giving, and you can barely afford a decent meal, why stay? More and more black New Yorkers are answering with their feet, leaving behind a city that's starting to feel more like a luxury brand than a home. And that, my friends, wraps up our list. What do you think? Would you fight to stay in New York, or is the cost of living just too much? Drop a comment below, and let's talk about it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the real stories behind migration trends.